Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, joined by attorney Stephen Jessup, and we're going to talk about the Standard Insurance Company and a recent case that Stephen resolved on behalf of one of our clients. And in this video, Stephen, we'll talk about the background of the case, what you were able to achieve for the client, and then provide some helpful tips for people that they can take away from this particular case that might help them with their claims. So give us an idea of the background of this case and the particular policy that you were dealing with.
Yeah, so this one's a unique one for me. This is a standard policy, and standard either does employer-provided policies or individual policies. This was an individual policy he had purchased on his own. I'd already represented him on another policy through Cigna when he was denied benefits under that. We got him approved under those, but he didn't want to hire us to handle a standard case because he wasn't having any issues with it. He was on disability for bipolar and cognitive problems, stemming from the bipolar, so mental health conditions.
What was his occupation?
He was an IT manager, so worked with computers. Bright guy.
And a high wage earner.
High wage earner, very high wage earner. And unbeknownst to me even, we got a Cigna case approved, got him beyond the any occupation period, all these different things. And towards the end of last year, he's like, Standard denied my claim and they denied my appeal. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you have contacted me to let you know that you were having problems? So at that point, he wasn't getting anywhere with Standard in trying to prove that he was disabled. And I took over, and prior to filing a lawsuit, I reached out to Standard and I said, listen, I would like the ability to try to present additional information prior to any potential litigation. Because in these policies, you don't have to go through their appeal process. Right. And technically, he already had availed himself of it.
And so it's kind of weird that he would do that, because if something went bad, which it did with Standard, it could jeopardize his
everything,
his Cigna claim, which he was on, which he was on with. And many people have an employer-provided policy, and they could also have bought a policy on his own, which he did. And you said his diagnosis was
bipolar. So I think even him not letting me know he was having issues is probably a symptom of the condition, that you're going through. So it's usually they hire us for take care of everything, but I think this was just a very much a symptom of his condition.
And also not so unusual, but still inconsistent. So what was Standard's basis for denying him versus Cigna, who obviously approved him?
Yeah, so initially when Cigna denied him, it was your typical not enough evidence to support restrictions and limitations. Neuropsychological testing was done to support the cognitive problems stemming from it, to show that he wouldn't be able to do these technical duties of his job. So as Standard went on, and they're paying him for several years, maybe 5-6 years, before they cut him off, and they did reviews of the records and said, well, listen, we don't think the treatment here is strong enough, and we think you'd be able to return to work type of stuff. It was really a bad denial in a lot of ways. Normally from Standard on their individual products, you see more in-depth analysis on it. So there was an independent medical evaluation performed earlier on in the claim, no problem. So the newer denial was based mainly on, I guess, lack of medical treatment in their eyes would be the best way to qualify it.
So it was interesting because I didn't know it was 5 or 6 years they had paid him before they cut him off. And on a mental nervous claim, when do you usually see the denials come? At what duration within the claim?
Well, on the private products, it's a little different, but generally they're really starting to challenge it probably about 24 months.
Right.
You'll see they'll really kind of look into it and go, hey, treatment saying you're stabilizing, and this and that. So normally you can expect, regardless of the type of policy, within like 24 months that there's going to be a problem.
And so that's why when you said 5 to 6,
Yeah.
it's not as common when they accepted the claim for 5 to 6 years that they're going to deny on that condition, because then it's become kind of a chronic. Plus, when you're talking about bipolar, you're talking about a brain disorder. Sometimes they arguably an organic brain disorder, and it's a condition that's probably been around even longer than the 5 or 6 years that the person wasn't able to work for.
And by the nature of the disorder, it's marked by high highs and low lows. So, he can be very high functioning and seem to be okay and go back to work when he's in a manic episode. But then when the depressive episode hits, all wheels come off.
So I'm always blown away by when a disability company, especially the Standard, denies a claimant after 5 to 6 years. What changed?
I think it was just lack of treatment, and he was seeing various different doctors at different times. So there were issues where you'd say consistency of treatment, with doctors and stuff. He had moved, relocated. They were saying, oh, you're able to, his family's from overseas, you're able to travel to go visit your family, and if you can coordinate all these things, why can't you, go back to work? So they were trying to really take a look at ancillary issues that may show more capacity than what he was reporting to them.
All right, so what was your strategy and how were you able to accomplish it?
The big thing again is, once he, when I originally started representing him on the Cigna case, he lived elsewhere, he had moved. We coordinated to find a neuropsychologist because it was still an issue of, did he have the cognitive ability to actually do the work? That's always going to be the biggest part. Not whether he can show up to work and sit there, but can he do these duties? And the neuropsychological testing pointed that the bipolar, diagnosis was resulting in a formalized diagnosis of mild neurocognitive disorder. We submitted all that information and additional, I sent questionnaires to his treating psychiatrist for completion, submitted this additional information over to Standard, and they reinstated the benefit on that.
And what do you think he could have done differently in order to avoid this denial that came?
I mean, the most logical thing would have been to have hired us to handle both cases, but he wanted to compartmentalize and separate it against my counsel early on, but he's like, well, I'm not having a problem with them, so if I have a problem one day, I'll let you know, kind of thing. But then he waited till the problem had, dragged quite a long time. Interestingly enough, Standard's not done because they've already set up, his claim was just reinstated maybe 3-4 months ago, and they were already setting him up for another independent medical evaluation with a neuropsychologist, which generally we know you don't try to do that within the first year. And like most insurance companies, they use this outside scheduling company, Cybar, to set it up. And we were having issues getting dates, and I even spoke to the Cybar representative saying, we just had a neuropsychological test done within the past 7 months. And she's like, and she seemed surprised that they would want one. She's like, well, let me contact Standard and make sure that's exactly what they want. And surely they said, okay, yeah, we understand that, but we do want the neuropsychological exam. So he's set for an additional neuropsychological exam.
So they're hungry to go after
They're
this.
still hungry. They're still hungry.
What's the definition of disability? What did you need to prove? Is it an ONOC definition or ENEOC, and what does that mean?
So in his policy, it's pure ONOC, meaning it's can you perform the material and substantial duties of your job? So it's only looking at his own occupation. So it's the best coverage you can really get when it comes to a disability policy.
And what did you do to be able to prove the duties of his occupation in your?
What I like to do, since the insurance companies will strip it down to the lowest common denominator, I start with the Department of Labor and the Dictionary of Occupational Titles and those governmental descriptions to give you an idea. Also his job description though. He still had copies of his job description, so putting that in, and then information just garnered on IT jobs and management level jobs. And I think one of the things that may have been missing is that he was also in charge of overseeing people, not just doing the nuts and bolts of repairing it, but also overseeing people who, within the company who had to do it.
So he had a supervisory role,
so
management position.
Small, but I still think it was something that was overlooked.
And those were points that you were highlighting in your, and so a lot of people don't realize that when he contacted you and he was denied on this individual disability, which has nothing to do with ERISA, there was no requirement for an appeal. Many other lawyers would jump to just file a lawsuit. Why did you not take that route?
Well, lawsuits, take a long time. They can be very costly and especially very intrusive, right? So when you file a lawsuit under these policies, your client can be deposed, his doctor can be deposed, family members, they're going to want all your bank records. It's very intrusive. It can take a long time, as opposed to availing yourself of these voluntary appeal process, which can streamline it, make it quicker, and limit exposure. And especially in a situation where it's a client who's suffering from a mental health condition, you don't want to compound the situation by adding the additional stress that litigation brings.
Right, and the other thing also in this particular case also, you realized that there was a weakness in the evidence particular, which is what Standard picked up on, and you felt like, look, I want to build the case stronger anyhow, because if I file a lawsuit, I'm stuck with the evidence basically that I have. I might as well bring another expert on board, another treater, get more evidence, and since I know litigation takes 12 to 18 months at a minimum, let me present it to Standard, because in all fairness, they have been reasonable in the sense of considering new evidence. And if I can win it here, great. If I don't win it, now I know my case is that much better going into litigation.
Make it stronger. And I think too, by the time I got on board and I reached out to the Standard rep, I don't know if I'd say she was relieved, but there was a sense of, I've worked with her before on cases, and I said, listen, I want to try to help smooth this out. There's something missing here. I want to provide additional evidence. So being as you've said, a business-to-business relationship instead of dealing business with consumer,
right.
I think it was easier for them because I wasn't thinking that they were out to get me or any of these types of things. I was just trying to get the information to them, to present it to them so they could get it. And that's one of the big things when it does come to mental health conditions, and clients, by the time they contact us usually and there's a denial, there's been some concerns about turning information over or providing things and stuff like that. So it can really, mess up the cogs, if you will, in getting a case moving. So getting us on board was able to streamline it a heck of a lot more efficiently.
Well, it was a great outcome. I know there's still more work ahead to come, and obviously you'll be defending. Hopefully the neuropsych finds that our client has the cognitive difficulties, but it may be a continued battle of representing him, which I know is what we do. Even just because we win one stage, we continue to protect the benefits on an ongoing basis. If you're someone with a Standard claim, feel free to reach out to Stephen or myself. We'd love to provide you with a free initial consultation. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to help you, and we look forward to the opportunity to speak with you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process. And when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search. Plus, we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.